right, leading up to signing day, we are on Flip Watch. We are joined here by Andrew Ivins, our partners over at 24/7 Sports. Last year, 2022, we had Deion Sanders, who was able to flip FSU commit here, and we're getting to that video, Travis Hunter. He was one of the top recruits, going to go to FSU as a Gator fan. I kind of appreciated the flip there. Ultimately going to Jackson State over FSU. As soon as Deion announced he was leaving Jackson State for Colorado, all eyes, they're back to Travis Hunter to see what he's going to do next. Jackson State, they have the Celebration Bowl coming up. And here's some other notable early signing day flips over the past 5 years. You see Travis Hunter there going from FSU to Jackson State, Elijah Moore flipping from Georgia to Ole Miss, Dotson from UCLA to Penn State, and Jordan Battle moving from Ohio State to ultimately join Nick Saban in Alabama. All right, Andrew Ivins is back in studio with us. This is 2 days in a row from our partners over at 24/7 Sports to break down who is on Flip Watch ahead of signing day. We got 4 guys we want to talk about, and we're starting off with Suntarine Perkins. He is an Ole Miss commit, kind of shined in his all-star game. But there's a couple of SEC teams that are kind of on his heels trying to flip him. What are the chances that Bama and Saban get it done?
Well, you never bet against Nick Saban.
Yeah, right.
I've been in this industry long enough where he's kind of the king when it comes to flips and stuff like that. The big news with Suntarine is whether or not he signs early, right? So we have this early signing period, 3 days here next week where kids can sign. If he doesn't, and he ends up letting this thing stretch into January and February, that's going to be notable because he'll probably take an official visit to Alabama and Tuscaloosa. And if Ole Miss is able to hold on here with Lane Kiffin was actually at his state title game a few weeks ago where he ran for over 300 yards, made a bunch of tackles on defense. This would be one of the best defensive signees ever for the Rebels. I mean, this is a guy that could have a Harold Perkins type of impact. No relation, but a guy that you can move around, maybe a Micah Parsons. You can line him up in the slot, put him in the box, let him rush the passer. So one to keep an eye on. And again, don't bet against Nick Saban. He has a knack for making a big splash when it matters on signing day.
All right, let's talk about John Walker. He's from the Orlando area. He's from Osceola, and it looked like he was going to stay close to home, committing to UCF, which would be a huge get for the Knights. You typically don't see them, competing and beating programs like Michigan, but now Florida is in the conversation. So what are the chances that Billy Napier comes in and flips him? Still kind of close to home, right? You're not too far.
Right.
But a possibility.
Right, it is. And John Walker, as crazy as this would sound, he'd be the highest ranked signee ever for UCF in program history. And let's not forget, UCF is moving into the Big 12 with Gus Malzahn there. And Florida has been in this recruitment from the jump. They need to revamp that defensive line. Billy Napier and his staff knows that. They've had a ton of attrition in that room, and they want to keep adding bodies. Already have a good defensive line class, but John Walker is a trench bully up front, someone that can eat up blocks and allow the linebackers to run free. So he's been a big priority for them. But my big question is, if Florida's going to flip him, how come they haven't done it yet, right? This kid has been committed to UCF and keeps showing up in Orlando. So something to certainly follow here over the next 6 days. And the buzz coming out of UCF and Orlando, the guys I talked to, they think they're going to hold on.
Okay. I saw a video, I don't know if you saw it, of him when he was first announcing his commitment. I think it was a couple months back, and his phone is just blowing up and ringing nonstop for like 5 minutes straight. So that's all I'm going to think about every time I hear about John Walker. Okay, we're moving along to Kadyn Proctor. He is your #1 offensive tackle, committed to Iowa, but there's a couple other teams in the mix. Again, maybe Bama, Nick Saban. We know Colorado is putting in a push for him as well. You were saying don't bet against Nick Saban. So maybe if he doesn't get, the first guy, if he doesn't get Suntarine, what do you think he does here with Kadyn Proctor?
Right. Alabama has the #1 ranked recruiting class right now. It's going to be hard for people to catch him. But again, Nick Saban's still going to have some surprises up his sleeve. And Kadyn Proctor is actually the first kid he saw when the contact period opened up. That's the guy he went and flew and saw there in Iowa. I mean, the Hawkeyes would love to hold on to Kadyn. I mean, he is potentially another Tristan Wirfs who came out of that same program, has had a great career so far in the NFL. 2 schools we also need to keep an eye on. You mentioned Colorado, right? Coach Prime's now there. Kadyn last week cryptically puts out a tweet that Coach Prime had offered, and we saw what he did at Jackson State with Travis Hunter.
Right.
You would have to think he's going to have a splash or two here in the next few weeks because he has billed it as this upcoming weekend will be one of the biggest recruiting weekends ever And then Oregon, Dan Lanning, he understands that it wins at the point of attack. He's done an excellent job, got Kadyn up there for an official visit. So one, we think probably holds on, but you still never know, right? Especially with this NIL stuff. Anything can happen in the 11th hour. We have seen it all cycle long.
Yeah, and I feel like the NIL, it just made things so much crazier. We were talking about that yesterday, just another factor. We're seeing all these flips at the last minute. Our next guy, Conrad Hussey, he's from St. Thomas Aquinas in South Florida. They have a big game. They're a little busy, maybe later today or this evening. He's a longtime Penn State committed, I want to say back in April. Took an official visit to FSU last weekend, and he told Noles 24/7, quote, "I like FSU. I've always liked them since I was a kid, so that feeling stayed the same." I feel like, if guys grew up watching a team, it kind of tugs at the heartstrings a little bit, and that can play a factor.
Absolutely. Right now, Mike Norvell and the Seminoles, they are kings of the Sunshine State, of the Big Three. They beat Florida, they beat Miami in commanding fashion, the Hurricanes, and you're right, Conrad Hussey's going to play for a state title tonight in Fort Lauderdale. I would expect those sidelines to be packed with college coaches. And the thing I'm keeping my eye on, does Conrad make it down to Coral Gables for an official visit, right? Last weekend where you can check out schools, Miami is pushing hard, and then Florida State's in there. And then Penn State, they've done an excellent job. They've recruited the safety position better than anyone else this cycle. With Manny Diaz, James Franklin, they are fighting to hold on, and they've been on it for the jump. And I'm going to toss another school out here. Colorado. I heard that from someone inside his camp a while back with Coach Prime and all that. So Conrad Hussey, one to keep an eye on, and it really reminds me of Jordan Battle. We had on that first graphic, Jordan Battle, a big, long safety who's now at Alabama. He was a guy that was from St. Thomas Aquinas, right? I remember going to his school signing day, I think it was 5 years ago.
Wow.
And out of nowhere, he's like, I'm not signing with Ohio State, I'm signing with Alabama. So you never really know. And that was just at 7:30 in the morning, no buzz at all. Anything could happen here down the stretch.
Yeah, St. Thomas, a lot of amazing athletes coming out of that school. That is Andrew Ivins here with us in studio from our partners at 24/7 Sports. And you can also catch Andrew. You have a show that you're going to be on, the College Football Recruiting Show from 24/7 Sports. Just head to their YouTube channel. That is at 5 p.m. every Tuesday and Thursday. So there is one this evening. And Andrew, you're going to be hopping on.
I am. We're talking more flips.
Oh, gosh.
Bachelor season, my buddy Steve Wiltfong calls it.